Hello, movie people. Welcome to a new episode of the CineGuy. I'm your host, Stephen Angulo. Let's talk film. Power to the People, which is a recurring theme in so many of Spike Lee's films. I mean, his movies are all filled with so many empowering stories that really take us into the shoes of the black community. Films like Do the Right Thing, Black Klansman, Get on the Bus, all amazing films that, let's just safe to say, Spike Lee is pretty much the anti-Tyler Perry, meaning his films are predominantly black and are actually good. So he's tackled black cops, black civil rights activists, and just regular black people in general. And now, this time, he's tackling a subject that you rarely hear about, and that is black Vietnam veterans. The Five Bloods, the story of a group of black Vietnam veterans who go back to Vietnam in search of buried gold. Now, already the premise sounds like, okay, this might just be just a character-driven story, pretty much. These guys going back to their war zone to look for buried treasure. However, it dives much, much deeper into that. We see the effects that the war has on each one of them. They all have their own story to tell, and it just embarks in this amazing adventure. It's not just a regular treasure hunt. It's like oh my god, I don't know how to describe, but it's something epic, pretty much. And Spike Lee really outdid himself with this film. And the best thing about it, it shows the effects of not just veterans, but on black veterans. You know, the whole fighting the white man's war and not getting anything out of it. Because that was the main reason why they went back to look for this gold. Compensation. I mean, they practically risked their lives for a country that doesn't really care about them. I mean, look at so many African American soldiers. They go off to war, they come back, things don't change. It's probably the same way before they left. So if this country, doesn't really give a damn about them, might as well take things into their own hands. And you know what? I'm glad they did. Now, this may be a strong film about, characters, but hey, what's a war film without a little war, right? Now, these guys are longtime best friends since they were in the same battalion during the war. So how come during the flashbacks of them, fighting, they're still their old selves and they don't get portrayed by younger actors? Because that shows that the war never left them, all right? Because when you're stuck in a situation like that, it never leaves. You close your eyes, you're back on the battlefield. You're sitting down, you hear fireworks, you're back on the battlefield. And the fact that these men, not only did they face a war across the seas, but they're still also facing a war in their own homeland, that really shows that the toll that is done for them is much, much higher than a regular veteran. Yeah, PTSD. That can be said for the character of Paul, played by Delroy Lindo, and what I had to say is a truly Oscar-worthy performance. I mean, he blew it out of the water with this. He was strong. He was very determined, all about let's get the gold and find the remains of our dead friend and all. But then when things take a turn, it's he's back in the war. The war never left him. Like he said, he closed his eyes, he still sees his friend that died. There is a strong reason behind Paul's character. Obviously, he's hiding something. Now, that's where Norman comes in, played by Chadwick Boseman. He's practically he was the leader who died during the war, but he was all about black empowerment. When we get back home, we gotta fight the war for our brothers and sisters who are suffering back in the States. So basically, Paul looked up to Norman. He's this guy's a true leader. I'm going to follow him. So what's all this built-up rage and anger that he has hiding inside of him? Well, as the twist reveals, spoilers, he was the one who accidentally shot Paul in action. So he's been holding on to that guilt for so long that it's kind of the whole it should have been me scenario and not this man who was going to do great things. Be the living memory of Norman. That's what keeps him estranged from the others. Now, they still love him. He's still their friend, but his behavior, I guess you kind of see why soldiers kind of need our help now. They're suffering from this kind of, this mentality that they have. Also, he was portrayed as a Trump supporter, which was a surprising twist, but I guess it builds character in a way. I don't know. Knowing Spike, he's just trying to say a political message like he always does. They'll have their own stories to tell. Like Paul's son David, he just wants his dad's approval. Because ever since like his mother died in childbirth, he was seen as the bastard son pretty much. Always being pushed away by Paul like, oh, I don't need you and all that stuff. It isn't until Paul realizes that, he's always loved his son, that's for sure, right? A part of himself may have died during the war, but thanks to his son, that part was what kept him going. Get the gold and get out of there, all right? We find our friend, we get out of there. And when, things get hot, he's the one trying to be more reasonable, like, no, we gotta figure out a way to get out of this. Also, it turns out that he actually fathered a child with a Vietnamese woman when he drafted. So yeah, basically there's like a Black Miss Saigon. But then again, this stuff like this happens, all right? You leave a part of yourself behind when you go to war, and next thing you know, this happens. So I'm kind of glad that Otis did get his happy ending, because he managed to go back to his lover, and he now gets to form a relationship with his adult daughter. Let's just say him and his lover, they made like one of the happiest dolly shots of Spike Lee's films. Like the actor's just like standing on a dolly and it's moving towards the camera. Now the best one is of course the Black Klansman with John David Washington and Laura Harrier pointing the guns and moving forward towards the window where the Klans people are burning across. But this one just felt really happy, kind of like this is like a moment in which a black veteran or a veteran in any way found peace. And that's what I like about that. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And that's the theme of this film. Like, this movie is really, this may be a war film about black veterans, but it's super anti-war. Kind of think about it. If the Vietnam War hadn't happened, because face it, if you know your history, this war should never have happened. It was ridiculous. All right, I'm on the side of the hippies right here. All right, if I was born in the 70s, I will be singing "Let the Sun Shine In" while sporting a tie-dye shirt. I admit that. So yeah, if this war hadn't happened, Paul would never have shot Norman. Could be that Norman would have been like a civil rights leader, fighting for equality during these times. And, combating racism, kind of like BLM is doing right now. Also, Paul would not have had terrible PTSD, same with the other veterans. Also, that French trio that's part of a group that is helps to clear out landmines. There we go. Why do you need landmines for? No war, no need to blow anything up. And also, yeah, while there are still some racial tensions going on in the United States, even today, the Vietnam War, if it didn't exist, it will not have been added to the list. Now, once they find the gold, they're confronted by some Vietnamese gunmen who claim, the gold belongs to the people of Vietnam. And so look at that. It's a whole nother war going on. It's black veterans wanting compensation and Vietnamese people wanting compensation as well. So it's kind of like the whole, why are you back here in my land taking what doesn't belong to you, while it's all first of all, I almost died for a country that doesn't even care about me, so I'm taking this gold. So yeah, between black veterans who never compensated and the grown children of Vietnamese soldiers who were killed by Americans whom they see as you know what you did, it doesn't ever end. And to make matters worse, the main villain is revealed to be a Frenchman who at first offered to help the black veterans smuggle the gold out of Vietnam, but now he just wants to keep the gold as for a huge payday. So yeah, greed, the biggest battle that nobody can win. So yeah, war is hell, and so is greed. Thank you, Spike Lee. I learned a lot from this film. Overall, it's a powerful movie. Probably one of Spike Lee's best, so to say. I mean, it has everything. It's got amazing characters, incredible acting, and oh my gosh, don't get me started with the action. It's like during like the final act, it's kind of like Spike Lee sat down like, okay, Tarantino, you take over, and it's just like insane. Like, it's amazing. Just, oh my god, it's just so action packed that you just gotta watch this film to find out. So yeah, my final rating for this film is 9.4 MAGA hats out of 10 gold bars. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe and join the crew, and we'll see you next week for another awesome review. Be sure to follow the Instagram at CineGuy Steven for more fun reviews. Till next time, this is Steven Angulo signing off. Black Lives Matter. Rest in peace, fallen war soldiers. That's a wrap.